Look, it's a flood.
It's a flood.
It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
When are you not? I mean, in the standard of adventures for Zig, right? When are you not having? What constitutes as a weird week for you?
Well, let's just say, thank God I'm street smart.
Thank God I'm street smart.
And thank God for Yu-Gi-Oh! For teaching me those street smarts.
Not how I would have followed that up, but it did already kind of sound like the opening line to a Disney movie song, like Street Rat, Street Rat.
I went to a stand-up thing on Friday.
Oh, shout out to that. Back on the back on the horse.
Yep, now that I got my new car.
Hey, shout out to new car. Big tings Aguan.
I also didn't realize until yesterday that it's a 6-speed.
Ooh, so is that a pleasant surprise, or
It explains why my car's been running at 3,000 RPM.
My mom has one of those like dual transmission Jeeps, right? So it's most of the time it's automatic, but you can like jiggle the shifter back and forth and it makes it like manual. And I accidentally did that when I borrowed her car. Shh, don't tell her, guys. And I was wondering the same thing. I was like, why are the RPMs up so high? And then I looked down and I was like, hey, what's that one doing there? Where the D for drive should normally be. Then I, jiggled that, because I'm smart at, process of elimination. Figured out I needed to throw it into neutral real quick and then back into drive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Drive is the equivalent of playing God of War on I'm here for the story.
So, speaking of stories.
So, I've had a weird week, and I want to say thank God to Street Smarts, because I did a stand-up at Max's on Friday, and then I got invited to go to a spot in in Fed Hill. Specifically Fed Hill, like the one part of the city I really don't go to that often. And I parked my brand new car.
Oh, no.
My brand new 2008
6-speed
Volkswagen Jetta. I really felt like mixing it up. This one is red.
Okay.
Third Jetta.
All
this
right.
one's red.
Little red Jetta, I see you. Go ahead.
Even worse, I lose my bright ass red Jetta.
Oh no, you lost the little red Jetta in Fed Hill. God damn, bro.
Yeah, I don't know Fed Hill, and it's a bunch of squares. So I'm walking up and down these same rectangles, and
Would you say you were one jump ahead of the bread line?
Yeah.
One swing ahead of the sword?
Yeah. But I was walking and I was wandering the streets and I was like, all right, street smarts. You remember the one mental image. You were walking down the street, you made a left, you saw the bar from a block and a half away. Mm-hmm. You need to try to find that spot on the street, because when you got out of the car, you walked straight there.
One jump ahead of the lawman?
Yeah, so I kept trying to find this one block corner, and I kept finding myself in circles, having no idea. And I went up and down all of these different streets in Fed Hill. I found the one bar that the people I were with got in their Uber and ended up going home. I couldn't leave my car there.
Right, that's no
So
trouble.
It gets past 2 o'clock, so all of the bars are closed at this point. You still see people like out on the sidewalk. I have my keys, which have a knife on them. So I'm walking around with my keys in my hand.
Would you say it's fair to say that you have hit rock bottom?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So I can't find my car, and I at this point have been walking for like 2.5 hours. And my legs are about to give out. And I know, like, I'm gonna have to, like, rest somewhere, and I know the worst spot to be would be a public bench. That is the worst spot to be.
Because you don't want to become one man's rise in crime, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I don't want to be the reason somebody has a 0 KDA when they die.
Yeah. One skip ahead of your doom, as some would say.
So, what did I do? I found myself a church.
You took a stroll around the block?
I kept... Yep. Now I kind of see what you're doing it, but... Anyway...
Let's not be too hasty.
I found a church that had a garden, and I hopped that fence, and I slept in that garden. There was like this little wood plank there. I had my shirt, so I like my extra shirt. Like I had a t-shirt on and then a button on over top of that. So I was able to turn the button on into a pillow, and I was able to get like 3 hours of sleep. Let my legs recover.
Yes, that's crazy.
Let my legs recover.
Having to fucking rough it behind a church in Fed Hill is fucking... That's...
And I woke up and within 3 minutes find my car. And I was so relieved and so fucking angry at the same time.
Wish me a happy landing, folks, because all he had to do
was walk one block the other direction and make a right.
The tales of a street rat. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, what can we say? What can we say? But the level of survival skills are rising up and crashing through. This is Doug.
And Ziggy.
And we are your favorite weekly pop culture digest, The Flood. That's right. Discussing the news happening around you and how it's shaping the culture that defines you with our pop perspective.
To put the culture in context.
And make the mainstream
make sense, because if we don't make sense, we don't make
dollars. And speaking of dollars, we gotta holla at our patrons.
Enraged Peacock.
And
AC Squared. And Thunder Knight.
Shout out to you guys keeping the lights on, and as you can see, the lights are on, or as you can hear, can you hear the humming of there's no humming because it's all LED lights, baby. No hum there. But we can tell you what's been humming lately, because some of the things we've seen trending this week are top 10 rudest cities in America, more campaign trail updates. We've got some updates on Andrew Tate, an Oasis reunion,
Woo!
Marlon Wayans versus DJ Vlad, Batman Cape Crusader, Terminator Zero
and
anime.
let's not forget our weekly Kanye West update.
But speaking of humming, you know how we usually like to get things started off here,
and that is by shamelessly abusing the algorithm to find as many new listeners as we can,
and tuning our ear to the streams to see what you guys have been playing.
Algorithm is
Taste by Sabrina Carpenter.
Some good old Sabrina Carpenter. And wow, that music video was awesome.
Some good old, it was though, and the song is a bop. Listen,
like we said, Sabrina Carpenter, like, you know,
this year's summer queen hasn't quit. You know, first she hit the streams running with espresso, right?
Yeah,
you getting everybody in that good beachy
if you're like hating
summer pop vibe.
on Sabrina Carpenter, it's like why? Like,
yeah, please go get some therapy.
The people that hate on Sabrina Carpenter only listen to metal.
I wouldn't even say it's only... I know that's a very distinct stereotype, right? Like, it is like... Because, you know, metal nerds think they are the standard for quality of music.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
If it's not as complicated and as intricate as Kendrick Lamar's Damn, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Right? And I think... Despite everything that Drake stands for, right? I do appreciate that kind of vibe, right? Because there has been a shift, a tonal shift, right? Like, people don't want to be preached to, and then, I mean, listen. if you think Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was a bad album, you might need to go get some therapy, right? Because, I mean, obviously that album was, you know, for the grown folk, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was...
It's not... I will admit, it's not an easy listen.
That is vinyl playing, cognac sipping, dimmed lights,
Fireplace
music.
behind it. Fireplace video playing.
I'm really like contemplating and doing some shadow work when I'm putting on fucking Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, right? But Sabrina Carpenter's new album, Short and Sweet, right, it's a fun
It's a good
listen.
album. It's
You
fun.
don't have to, like, can we, like, there is something to be said about being
Like,
able
it's a
to
nice
just have
fun
fun
bop
again.
and 4/4 time.
The music video was fun. It was her and Jenna Ortega constantly Tom and Jerrying it for 3 minutes.
with an ode to Tarantino.
Yeah, very, very subtle Easter egg nod to, and because, you know, Jenna Ortega is also in the new Beetlejuice movie, which I haven't seen yet. So Beetlejuice 2 hasn't dropped yet. Beetlejuice as the official title. Right, which makes me feel like they're setting it up for a trilogy, right? Because you gotta say his name 3 times in order for him to appear, right?
Ooh, I like that!
So, you know...
Joke's on us, the third Beetlejuice is a Disney ride.
I would hate that so much.
Come to life at the Beetlejuice attraction now at Walt Disney
That's
World
like-
Orlando Resort.
That's like, and this is a deep cut, right? But that's like Konami not making a new Silent Hill game, but putting Silent Hill into slot machines, so that...
Plinko machines specifically.
Yeah, like
Or no, they would be
what?
like, the new Silent Hill is in that town in western Pennsylvania.
But that's a real thing, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
there are literal Silent Hill slot machines. Blink, I think.
Plinko machine. Yeah, there's Konami has shilled out all of their IP into Plinko machines.
But won't fucking make it. God damn it, man! It makes me so frustrated. Do you have high expectations for them? Were you a original Beetlejuice movie fan?
I liked it. I mean, I'm not one of those people who's like, I love Beetlejuice, but I was like, this movie's fun. You know,
I feel like it's a
Alec
cult
Baldwin
classic.
is really funny in it.
Yeah, that's a hold on now, because it's a cult classic, right? We
Yeah.
got Alec Baldwin, Winona Ryder, Gina Davis, Annie McEnroe.
Like, it was a very fun,
Catherine O'Hare.
campy movie, and it was a Tim Burton movie, right?
Yes, I believe so. Hold on, let's IMDb it, baby. Yep, Tim Burton, Michael McDowell, Larry Wilson. First and foremost, I feel like Beetlejuice is definitely goated. The original Beetlejuice movie and the cartoon. If you haven't seen the Saturday morning cartoon,
is pretty fun. But like the Beetlejuice movie, I'm not like,
the fucking dining hall scene, the dinner scene, like, come on.
I love them like when they were messing around on like the little model town board.
Yeah, the scary, training them to be scary, right? Like that's a good
And the whole
scene.
dance scene.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The dinner scene. Fucking A, Mr. Tallyman Tally. Anyway, I'm not gonna
But
do
like,
it.
yeah, you know, I don't know what to expect from Beetlejuice 2 that's made 35, 40 years after the original. Like,
I mean, so are we going into it excited, or like are we going into it a bit hesitant? Like, how do you...
I'm going into it kind of like, I don't know, tabula rasa, because I'm also not one of those huge Beetlejuice cult followers, like cult movie fans.
Yeah.
So I would walk into it like, I don't know what to expect. I've seen Beetlejuice like twice, and it was fun. Like,
Damn, only twice, huh?
yeah, I don't watch a lot of movies multiple times, but I've watched, as a result, a lot of movies.
In other news, we got, speaking of movies, we got, some Inside Out 2 news. We got some return of Backyard Sports.
Woo!
Return of Oasis.
That
right?
one, if anybody had that on their 2024 bingo card, they're fucking lying.
The return of Martin Shkreli.
The Empire Strikes Back.
We got, Trump news, Kamala news. We got a little bit of Zuckerberg news for you. And, we got all kinds of headlines and hot takes. But getting started here, I wanted to take a quick break. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
One of the things that was trending over the weekend was a study released by Preply conducting a survey where more than a dozen new cities were added to a poll they conducted 2 years ago of the rudest cities in America.
So
now,
I haven't seen this list. I want to take some guesses.
I was going to say, well, before we get started, I wanted you to kind of take a guess, right? Because, there are cities in the country that have a notoriously rather aggressive population.
So, New York and Philadelphia.
Right.
I'm going to say Oakland.
Okay.
Dallas.
Shout out to Dallas.
Shout out Dallas.
Now, how many of these cities have you actually been to?
I've been to every major city except for Atlanta on the East Coast.
Okay. On the East Coast.
Yeah.
So do you want me to go in descending order from 10 on down? Or do you just want me to start at number 1?
Go with 10 on down.
So at number 10, with a rating of 8.11 out of, what was their rating system again? Yeah, with a rating of 8.11, right? So 0 to 10 on rudeness score, with 10 being most rude and 0 being least rude. Charlotte, North Carolina, with a score of 8.11.
That might be some racism in there.
I'm kind of surprised, because that Southern hospitality kick, right? But it's quite a few Southern cities in this list. Coming in at number 9, we have Long Beach, California, right? The city of sunshine.
Ain't nobody got time for your shit.
California is supposed to be laid back, but apparently it's so laid back.
Yeah, they're on the way to their Tarantino casting audition.
They have no time for your bullshit. Number 8, Las Vegas.
Doesn't surprise me. Lots of people mad about losing money.
I'm not surprised about Las Vegas at all, because you're either there for the hookers, for the alcohol, or for the gambling. All of which I feel like mean you're not gonna take the time to stop and really chit-chat.
There's only two types of clientele that leave from any of those situations, and it's either very happy or very mad.
Nobody's gonna lend you money, their charger, or a cigarette out in Las Vegas.
You buy a cigarette, it'll just cost $1.50.
Number 7 is Memphis, Tennessee, which once again, that Southern hospitality.
Shout out John Morant.
Shout out. Shout out UGK. Shout out 3-6 Mafia. Listen.
Rest in peace, Young Dolph.
Rest in peace, Young Dolph. Hey, listen. I've never been to Tennessee. I can't call it for myself. I looked into the metrics of this a little bit, and it seems like it was an opt-in survey. It really didn't give a metric for how many people actually participated in this. So it's all good fun. There's no need to, tweet at us or anything about I live in Memphis and let me tell you we're some of the kindest people. We'll give you a t-shirt. No, you can save all that shit. I don't want to read it.
Anecdotal evidence. Throw it at.
Moving on to number 6. This one might throw you for a loop. Boston.
Nope. Doesn't shock me at all.
Was a joke. That was total sarcasm. Obviously, I'm not surprised that the city that gave us fucking Mark Wahlberg is not necessarily the kindest place.
As an Irish American, I feel strangely at home in Boston. He says, wearing a Celtics hat.
Number 5, Oakland, California.
Woo! I got that one.
Number 4, Louisville, Kentucky. Number 3, Tampa, Florida. Because first of all, let's be real. Who expected to find kindness and empathy in Florida?
Tom Brady.
If you've been to Disneyland recently, Disney's not in Tampa though, is it?
No, Disney's in Orlando.
Orlando, okay. Which is how far? That's not far outside.
Well, technically, it's next to Orlando. It's in the Disney restricted zone.
Yeah. It's like in between Orlando and Winter Park, right?
Yeah.
Like, which is just outside. It's like a weird triangle with Tampa. Number 2, Philadelphia. Shout out to Philly. Shout out to me.
The city of brotherly. Get the fuck out of the way.
With a score of 9.12.
I actually love Philadelphia.
The city of brotherly love is the second root. I mean, if you've seen
actually love
Always Sunny. I mean, listen. You either love them or you hate them.
You ever been to like Philly like that? The Reading Terminal Market?
I've been through Philly.
You ever been to Reading Terminal?
No.
Oh my God. No. You and I, we gotta like do some trip up to Philly, maybe New York, you know, when we're headlining shows.
I drove.
And I gotta take you to Reading. It's literally the world of food in one building.
To go camping. We drove through Philly a little bit to get to some mountains just outside of that area.
Philly is a cool city to explore.
Ready for number 1?
It's New York.
Miami, Florida, baby.
Wow, New York's not even in the top 10.
9.88. 9.88, baby. Almost a perfect 10. Miami, how you doing? And let me tell you, I'm not surprised. I've never been, right? Miami, I've heard, from what I've heard, it's a beautiful city, but when everybody is coked up and on the hunt for the bag, baby.
Or Cuban defectors.
On the hunt for the bag, baby. I'm not surprised. Are you surprised? Are you really that surprised? I mean, like, look at it. Miami.
No, my experience in Miami is from a layover of that absolutely atrocious Florida story I told you about with Cool Zach and I.
I mean, we
were like, we need to find somewhere to just smoke a cigarette. And they're like, you gotta go all the way through back TSA, motherfucker.
When we are talking luxury, right? When we are talking luxurious cities in America, the first one that comes to mind for me personally is Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, though, is definitely Miami, and Miami might be number 1. Honestly, Los Angeles, that's just branding. Like, you think Los Angeles, you think movie stars, right? And when you think luxury, you think movie stars, right? Like, but to be honest, though, Miami, some of the best beaches in the world, right? It's different out there. Like, I mean, Scarface area, right? Like, that's where the gangsters from New York go to retire. So
I was about to say, like, the second city of, like, opulence that I would say, because I'd probably agree with you and say that LA is, like, the city of opulence. I would say New York after that.
Yeah.
But that's because of the high society New York.
Yeah, old money type, you know, that's real.
The Manhattan, New York.
Yeah.
Like, people have to remember
Park,
when you think of New York, like, the high-end opulence, you're really just thinking about Manhattan.
I mean, and
Manhattan is a 7 mile by 2 mile long island.
Or Gossip Girl, right? But I mean, all of that is just Manhattan. And
yet Brooklyn by itself as a borough, if you just considered Brooklyn as a city by itself, would still be one of the top 20 biggest cities in the country.
So that's it. And let me see, because I think they had, we can go to the least rude.
All right, let's just start with Baltimore. Like, where is our city?
So Baltimore actually comes in at 20 with a rating of 7.79, right? So that's not, we're almost like dead. We're almost dead in the middle. At dead in the middle is Los Angeles with a score of 7.61. Right, DC comes in at 33, despite what Keith Lee would have you believe, and we will talk about that in a little bit. But I want to go down to the bottom 10, right? For some reason, this list only goes.
Let's not worry about the bottom 10. What is considered the least rude city?
That's the bottom 10.
Yeah.
So the least rude city is Omaha, Nebraska. Believe it or not, with a score of 6.24. Yeah, it's not a whole lot. out there for them to do. They're
Like, what are you
probably
gonna do? Insult corn?
They are probably just glad somebody is visiting Nebraska.
Yeah.
let's be real about it. Number 2 would be Minneapolis, Minnesota. Shout out to
Tim Walz
and them. Shout out to Midwestern Gang
and Anthony Edwards.
I wish we weren't recording on my phone because I saw this meme that was like the Northwest, right? And it was like acts nice is nice, right? Then it was like Minnesota, the Midwestern region. It was like acts rude is nice, and like
mind your own damn business.
it was like that was like Midwest and Northeast, so like Maryland and New York and all that was included in there. Then it was like the South, and it was like acts nice is mean. And then it was like Southern California, New Mexico, Texas, and all of that. It was like acts mean is mean.
Certain parts of Texas, axe mean is racist.
San Diego, California came in at number 3 of the least rude. Columbus, Ohio.
Well, that's because nobody is in Columbus. That's a literal ghost town.
Not very Ohio of you, Columbus. let me just be. And then number 5 is Kansas City, Missouri. Right? So, you know, shout out to the Midwest for living up to the stereotype. Right? Are you surprised that Miami came in at number 1?
Not surprised, but it's a city I didn't think about. Like when you said Miami, I was like, oh, right.
When they conducted the survey 2 years ago, Philadelphia did come in at number 1, and Memphis, Tennessee came in at number 2. New York City, New York came in at number 3.
Like Philly and New York, people are actually really nice as long as you don't waste their time.
And I feel like that's kind of relevant, right? Like wasting time. Like it depends on what you got to do that day, how you woke up, how you're feeling. What do you guys think? What's the rudest place you've ever been to? Me personally, motherfuckers in Carolina, it's a different breed out there, to be honest with you. North and South Carolina. Now, I've only been to Carolina a couple of times, and, you know, Charlotte did come in at number 10, right?
Do you want to know the city I had the most recent rude people experience in? Columbia, Maryland.
Which is super fun. Oh, no, that's not Columbia, Maryland. That's Cumberland.
That city is run by the Illuminati.
Cumberland is offering people like $20,000 to move there right now, and that's actually okay. So I wanted to talk to you about this a little bit.
That's Illuminati money.
It's a trend I've seen a lot recently. Like there's towns in Italy,
Japan
that are offering people money to like move there because I guess the population growth has like stagnated.
And it's dead real estate. It's like the abandoned row homes in Baltimore.
Right. And remember when they were offering like $10,000 to $20,000 to help renovate those, and they were giving away mortgages for like $1? Listen, if you and now,
like,
now
look,
those
you
people
can have
are
this
caking
house.
off.
You just have to sit on the porch with the shotgun.
Bro, those people are caking off now. Baltimore has become like so gentrified, it's not even funny, right? Like the entire harbor is about to look like fucking Brooklyn, New York.
Which is why I was not scared at all.
And once again, Baltimore came in at number 20. So it's not as weird and as fucking wild as The Wire would have you think it is. But when it comes to these towns offering money for people to come live there, how much money would it take, and what kind of destination would be your least likely choice?
Where would they have to pay me the most money to move to?
Yeah.
Specifically Siberia.
How did I know you were gonna say somewhere in Russia? That's not even real.
Because it's cold. You know that literally anywhere that is cold, I'm like, get me the fuck out.
Yeah.
I am openly and unapologetically a total bitch about the cold. She should bring her own fucking jacket.
Wow. I hope name will not be mentioned. Here's this. And always makes a point of bringing out her jacket every time you two go out.
I was proud of her. She, the other night, was like, oh, should I bring a jacket? And I was like, yes. And you know what she did? Brought a jacket. You know what she was happy she had? A jacket.
It do be getting, it is starting to get
That's
a
what
little
feminism
cold.
really looks like, guys.
It is starting to get a little cold out. For me, it would definitely be somewhere in like Eastern Europe, Middle East area.
For rudest?
Like no. For like place it would take the most amount of money to entice me to live. Like Turkmenistan or somewhere over in the Eastern Bloc. Like, obviously not Ukraine right now. Although Ukraine pulled a sneaky and invaded Russia while we were on break.
What?
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. They pulled an offensive maneuver that completely took Putin off guard. And now I feel, from what I understand, now they are like doubling back to close in the troops that Putin is pulling back in to help deal with the internal conflict.
Well, I would say another place you couldn't pay me enough to move to right now is Gaza, unless I was Jewish. And then they would be like, do you want this strip of land?
Speaking of offensive maneuvers, did you hear that Israel is now invading the West Bank?
Yeah.
And it's not looking great. I don't mean to laugh because obviously
none of this is funny.
Is not funny. But I just find it really wild to me that people can still justify the tactics that Netanyahu is employing, right? Like, we're talking about Russia, right? And even in Russia, the internal narrative is starting to shift, right? There are high-powered oligarchs who are pushing Putin to do something, especially now that Ukraine has shown that it can touch Russia.
I'm also not taking the money to go to Cumberland. That city is run by the Illuminati.
Yeah, I think we've moved on from that.
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not taking that money. That city is run by the Illuminati.
I mean, it is first of all, Cumberland is very northern, right? It's in that part. I feel like it's close to that part of Maryland that wants to be West Virginia.
It absolutely is, because it's run by the Illuminati.
It is very rural, traditional Maryland, and I don't just mean like brick houses everywhere.
Brick masons. Trust me.
Cumberland is, I've been camping out that way.
There is one building where the top of it is visible from every single spot in the city, and you know what it is? The Freemason building. When I went there in the middle of the night with 3 friends of mine, we pulled into there. On the way in, we had a ServPro truck pass by us. It says, like, nothing ever happened. And we're walking around Cumberland. We parked next to the Freemason building because we're fucking idiots. And we're walking around, and we see this one car just constantly following us, and not a soul on the street until later we saw these 3 people walking, and then they stared dead at us. And then we finally are like super freaked out, and we run back to our car, and we're driving away, and you know what we see on the way? A ServPro truck pass us and said like nothing ever happened.
I guarantee you that's what Putin would wish everybody would pretend right now, especially with the offensive maneuvers that Ukraine is pulling. Way to tie it back in, Doc. Because as I said, the oligarchs are starting to push for a conclusion to the war. Ukraine, this thing is going on for what, like 2 years now?
Yeah.
And
because
it's almost at a stalemate.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years because October 6th was almost a year ago now.
Yep. And we will get to how that's going, right, in a minute. But I do want to talk about Ukraine, Russia, because I do feel like this, as we are moving closer to the final moments of election season here in the U.S., right, there are a lot of things looming in the distance that I feel like could potentially shift the tide of how our election turns out. And Ukraine is an issue that is weighing on a lot of independents' minds. It's weighing on a lot of Democrats' minds. It's weighing on a lot of Republicans' minds, right? And when you have this constant push for support for Ukraine, while we are looking at what is effectively a quagmire, right, and a stalemate between Russia and Ukraine. Every time Russia gains an inch, Ukraine takes back an inch. And it seems like to most people that we are just funneling money into what is effectively another Iraq that we're not actually involved in, right?
I think not being directly involved in an Iraq situation is probably a good thing.
You would think, but a lot of people look at the money that we are sending Ukraine, right? Even though we are not the top donator of aid.
Also, we're not sending them direct money. We're literally sending them American military leftovers. Because we either have to spend money to dispose of it, or Ukraine can throw it at Russians.
And it's also...
You know what the cool thing...
It's not all of the military artillery that we could be sending them, because they are under specific restraints to not use, like, far range weapons, right? Like,
but I mean, like, you know what the cool thing about old bombs are? They still explode.
There's still bombs.
They still explode.
So, with that being said, everybody in the geopolitical sphere that is still watching Ukraine, Russia, is waiting to see what the next move from Ukraine is going to be, because with this surprise offensive maneuver, with this invasion into Russia, and then there was some kind of like posturing a little bit when the Ukrainian officials announced that they could have assassinated Putin at a recent naval celebration, but didn't get the okay from the US or the UK to use the weapons that they were going to use to do it, right? So now
that also is like,
so there's two,
like, that's literally a Franz Ferdinand situation.
There's two schools of thoughts on this, right? Like, they are either posturing and being like, hey, we made it in there twice. We had a drone that flew into Moscow. Remember that?
Yep.
And then they made that offensive into I can't remember what region it was, but apparently it's a very historically significant.
I believe it was
region
somewhere in the southwest side of Russia.
For Russia, because it hasn't been invaded and they haven't done combat on that ground since World War II.
Yeah, and Ukraine and Russia share a large border. Like, it is more than a 500-mile long border.
And now they're being like, well, we could have got you, guy. We could have got you, but the U.S. saved you. Biden was like, yeah, maybe don't, because we don't want a Franz Ferdinand situation in here, right? And it looks like Russia may even be getting pressure from China and India to come to some sort of conclusion here, right? Because Ukraine keeps striking at its like oil repositories, and the only thing really floating Russia's economy right now is the petrol wartime economy. Well,
I mean, also, let's talk about how this works in the military-industrial complex for America real quick. Like I said, we are sending money, quote-unquote, to Ukraine. What we really are doing is sending our leftover weapons, which we would otherwise have to spend money to dispose of, so they can throw them at Russians, so military contractors can get money from the government to replenish our weapon supply.
Now, speaking of disposing of, right, and as we're talking about geopolitics, we mentioned earlier that Israel has now proceeded to move forward with raids into the West Bank And it's getting harder and harder to kind of defend the actions of Israel, and even though Kamala Harris was just on CNN stating that she supports Israel's right to defend itself. Now, that CNN interview...
Bernie also said that on Theo Von's podcast. Bernie.
The CNN interview rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. A lot of leftists who were galvanized and energized by the sudden transition that was the Joe Biden campaign into the Kamala Harris campaign. Right?
Like we said last week, Joe was like, we need to stick to certain political decorum and tradition and things like that. And Kamala was like, nah.
Yeah, but now she's like, maybe, right? Because like from suggesting that she would have a Republican in her cabinet, which me personally, I don't think is a bad thing, right? There are people
It's been historical precedent in our country since its founding.
There are people who will say that's pandering or flip-flopping.
I mean, Washington had Jefferson and Hamilton in his cabinet, and they fucking hated each other.
I think we have gotten to a point in this country where somebody genuinely trying or attempting to reach across the aisle, people can't see that as not pandering, right? Like, I think maybe we are in a symptom of overcorrection here where we're like, you've got to pick a fucking side.
Yeah.
Right?
A world of binary when the world isn't binary.
Yeah, it is very black and white right now, though, like the X logo.
I still like Zwitter.
Do you feel like, all right,
as a name, not as a site, but continue.
did you see the CNN article, first and foremost?
I did not
see the CNN article. Did you see the CNN interview?
Of Kamala? I did not.
And Tim. Okay, so in the interview, right, there was a fair amount of what felt like flip-flopping. They asked her about fracking, which, you know, on the debate stage...
It's a big issue in Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia.
Well, on the debate stage back in, 2020, I think, 2019, she said she was very against fracking and that she would ban it. Now she's saying that she is against banning fracking and that she feels like you can push for clean, renewable energy without having to ban fracking.
Yeah, like one of the things that's always difficult about banning something that's been established is if you just outright ban something that ruins the industry, puts so many people out of jobs. That's why, ideally, there's always a transition and like a retraining of the work staff into the new thing, but that's always very idealistic and never happens according to plan.
And there's also, like, you know, tonal shifts on the border as well. People, you know, she's supporting, you know, the border bill that her and Biden were pushing forward that is one of the most strictest border bills that has been put forward in a really long time, right?
But we couldn't pass it because Trump needed a campaign on it.
So people are calling her out on that, right? And me personally, as I alluded to earlier, feel like there is something to be said for people being so energized in a tribalist sense right now that any attempt at trying to reach the middle looks like pandering.
I will say, as far as like the Israel-Palestine thing, I just finished watching the Theo Von podcast with Bassem Youssef, and I actually recommend people watch this podcast if they don't know anything about it, because you want to know else who didn't? Theo. And Theo just got Bassem to explain everything to him, and Bassem was very succinct. He was very collected. He was very analytical, with the right amount of emotion, but nothing to distort his argument. And Theo would just listen and go with reasonable questions.
I have to agree, after watching the interview with Bosch, right, which I know is very, like, controversial to do.
To watch the Theo interview?
No, to agree with Bosch.
Yeah.
I feel like Kamala has a narrative issue, right? Like, she keeps trying to hammer in on her policy and her record, and it comes off as very elitist and overly professional. And as we were talking about off mic, what it is that people like about Trump is in one-on-one spaces and directly, for a better effect, Trump is very good at shaping the narrative and being charismatic while he does it.
I mean, like I said, Theo, he interviewed Bassem Youssef and a rabbi about the Palestine-Israel thing, and then in subsequent interviews, interviewed Bernie Sanders and then Donald Trump.
When Kamala is pressured like this, she turns into a Hillary type, right?
Come on, go to the polls!
And it's not great, dude. She kind of, stammered a little bit, and it seemed like she was even a little bit caught off guard by some of the hard questions. And she's got to realize that they are going to be the ones that are, the left is always on the hook for accountability.
Yeah, that's our thing.
There is literally, so Trump gets dumped.
It's so frustrating that it's
questions.
Our thing. It's like, fuck you, we're gonna do the right thing. And they're like, we're not gonna do the right thing and win because we're doing it.
And when Donald is given these softball questions, he gets to complain when he is given hard questions, like when he was at that Black Journalist Expo, right?
Not a good look.
No, and he was asked hard questions, right? And he got on the defensive. Kamala, however, didn't necessarily go on the defensive. She went... It was like flight. Yeah, it wasn't like fight, but it was... I hesitate to call it flight, but it really was just like, okay, just repeat the talking points. Just repeat the talking points. And I don't know why the Democrats or the Democratic Party doesn't seem to understand that America doesn't give a shit about your talking points if you can't form it into a persuasive narrative. That is what excited everybody about Tim Walz. Tim Walz had that coach speech down, right? Like, it's the same thing like how Martin Luther King used the preacher talk to get across that flowery language and those proses that he would use. It's the same way that Tim goes up there and gives them that give them the fight, give them hell speech. Every even though he's doing the same stump speech, it's like it gives you that we're down in the fourth quarter, but we haven't lost the fight yet kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And Kamala isn't good in that area. She's not. I'm sorry. Like, she is very charming in her free-going auntie kind of way, and when she is on the mark, right, she gets that prosecutor tone down, and she does cut through the bullshit very well, right? But that CNN article was just very lacking. It was not energizing, and I know Trump and Vance have been stumbling lately too, but we are the
JD
underdogs.
Vance is certainly be stumbling, because I even heard something about his Magic the Gathering career, and it is quite sad.
Oh, shade. The shade.
JD Vance, his favorite deck was Yawgmoth's Bargain, and couldn't even win with that card. That card is idiot-proof. It is idiot-proof.
Are you saying that JD Vance is outside of idiot-proof?
Yes!
Damn.
The card literally says, pay a life, draw a card.
Damn.
You can do it whenever you want. You start with 20 life. It's banned in everything.
What do you think the over-under is on JD Vance putting his deck up for a commemorative NFT kind of thing?
That would be the one expensive Magic the Gathering thing Post Malone wouldn't buy.
Do you think JD Vance tries to talk to Trump about his Magic the Gathering deck?
I'm pretty sure Trump...
How many times
I'm pretty sure
do you think...
Trump's PR team has told JD Vance to not talk about
his Magic the Gathering deck? How many times do you think Trump has asked JD to stop talking about his Magic the Gathering deck?
Once. And then JD Vance took it to heart and never did again.
Like they're on Jeffrey Epstein's plane and JD's trying to kill time, and Trump walks by and he's like, "What is that? What are those sissy little?
Put those gay things away.
Is that a wizard? What kind of is that? Game of Thrones? You think Trump uses the F word? Trump definitely uses that.
Trump uses both F words.
Oh man. Speaking of having to cut things out, Trump wishes that Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong would cut it out because it looks like they're Trump. I don't know if I would call it a biopic, but
It's the equivalent of Snowden.
or W. I feel like it's probably going to be more like W.
Or is it going to be more like Vice?
Yeah, that's the movie I was thinking of. Yeah, I think it's
The
gonna
one
be more
about
like,
Dick Cheney.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more like Vice, but it's called The Apprentice. The Apprentice boasts an ensemble consisting of the likes of Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong. So it's Sebastian Stan as Trump, as a young Trump, and Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohen.
Got it. So this is 80s cocaine blow Trump.
I do believe it when Trump says he never did coke. Trump looks like a prescription.
He's like Barry
pill.
Bonds in steroids. He's like, I've never knowingly done coke.
Trump looks like a prescription pill kind of guy to me.
Well, I mean, if you heard from the White House doctor, yeah.
As far as I can see, hasn't been given an official release date yet, but it does look like it will be released before the election, which isn't great because apparently the movie includes such scenes where Trump R-words Ivana, along with other heinous things that Trump has done if you've looked into his past. So it looks...
You want to know a weird Glennon family secret?
Wow, that's a weird, very weird segue.
I know, because this is a very weird Glennon fact. My mom owns a rug once owned by Ivana Trump.
Wow. What a weird tie-in.
Right?
Yeah, no, so the movie
It's Persian.
is not going to be a great look for Trump, especially with it dropping before. Now, the potential of something like this really shifting the polls,
I don't know about the movie, but the Arlington Cemetery.
The Arlington Cemetery incident, I am waiting to see the full outcome of this. If
The
you don't
U.S.
know,
Army denounced it.
if you don't know, now you know. Donald Trump was recently at an event at the Arlington National Military
Created
Cemetery.
an event. He showed up with camera crews with a Gold Star family.
Who
A recent
were Trump
Gold Star
supporters,
family.
and they went into, what was it, District 6 or something like that?
District 60. It was recent Gold Star family.
Yeah, so, soldiers who have recently been laid to rest. Arlington, like, I believe most military bases, or military, where photography, videography is expressly forbidden on the grounds of any political grounds, right?
Yeah.
Like, so any campaigning, any political ads that you may be thinking about filming while it's neutral
because the
territory.
military is
It's neutral
legally apolitical.
So when the Trump campaign and this family decided that they wanted to do a photo op in this,
The most sacred ground by American patriotism standards.
freshly buried, right? They were obviously approached by staff, right? Who
Yep.
was like trying to do their job and be like, hey, you can't
do this.
You legally, you can't
cannot
do
do
this.
this.
Where the staffer was then berated, pushed to the side, and called mentally unfit.
Because, of course, she was a woman.
And clearly acting erratic and, not doing her job. Despite all of that, the United States military has come out and released
the
a
fucking
statement
army said it was bad.
in support. When I say the United States military, I mean the army came out in support of the employee who was just doing her job and trying to stop them from taking pictures and video, which they then proceeded to take a very distasteful photo behind the grave of this young serviceman, where Donald was giving that chagrin and everybody was giving a thumbs up in the cringiest photo you could possibly take behind somebody's grave.
It's so bad. People are like, look at him doing a good thing. And I'm like, yeah, the one time he's doing it with a camera crew.
It reminds me of the Bible photo.
Yeah, the upside down Bible photo.
Where he gas canned a bunch of protesters to get them
literally walk across the street. Mark Milley said that was the biggest regret of his military career.
And I'm not trying to be. Once again, if you just happen to stumble upon this podcast as a Trump supporter, I want you to understand that I am simply trying to understand the level of dedication it takes to support a guy who is constantly putting his fucking foot in his mouth. My God. Like, I know you'll go, but Joe Biden. And I'm like,
great. You're not running against him anymore. Somebody tell Trump that.
It's not even just that. Joe was willing to, especially in the end, kind of play along with and jokingly admit that he was kind of getting up there in age. Donald is like smoke and mirrors neuralizer, like you didn't see that. Right? It like so like literally like every day.
You haven't seen that, but you've seen Silence of the Lambs.
Every day, the revisionist history that goes on with the Trump campaign, it's getting to the point now where, I mean, shit, even Snopes is like giving them passes on stuff because it's getting so ubiquitous and so abundant that Trump derangement syndrome is starting to feel real, right? Like, it's starting to feel like, oh, you just bringing up another dumb thing that Trump does, but it's like, okay, but he keeps doing
where is your line? Where is your line?
Dumb things. Like, yeah, and I'm really waiting to see the...
Like, does he have to, like, bomb your house for you to be like, okay, I think I'm done with this guy?
Because a thumbs up at a graveyard is just wild in general. Like, if you were going to bury grandma, right, and somebody in the picture gave a thumbs up as you were lowering the casket, you would be like, who the fuck is that cousin? Never invite them to the cookout ever the fuck again.
The last graveyard I visited was on the border of Brooklyn and Queens.
Yo,
and it was the grave of Jackie Robinson.
A thumbs up.
And I damn well sure did not take a selfie with the grave of Jackie Robinson.
First
I
of
took
all,
a picture,
I thought
but I did not take a fucking selfie.
I thought we all agreed back in like 2012 that funeral selfies were like top 10 cringe, right? It's like Holocaust selfies, Holocaust memorial selfies, funeral selfies.
I was about to say, like a Holocaust selfie would probably actually be pretty dope. I'd be like, damn, these people are going through the worst shit in the world and still managed to take a selfie.
Wow.
They probably got liberated. Like, I imagine the selfie would be taken after liberation. I saw this great photo of a UK guard turning his back as 3 Nazi Holocaust camp survivors were just liberated, like murdered the guard that was doing all this atrocities to them. UK soldiers turned his back. I'm sorry, kill a Nazi, that's all fucking fair to me.
It's insane to me the amount of back-turning Trump supporters are willing to do while Democrats on the left are willing to hold Kamala accountable for literally everything she says. Like, everything she says. Like, they're still not letting the support of Israel slide, right? Like, there is a fair amount of left-leaning young voters who are probably going to abstain from voting this election cycle because of Gaza, right? Meanwhile, Trump can do no wrong. He can literally release Trumpy Trout and everybody is like, hey, come on. You gotta love a guy that's willing to tell some jokes. You know, politics. You heard JD Vance.
Why did they make Trumpy Trout fuckable?
You heard JD Vance. Politics has gotten too serious. He likes a guy that can tell some jokes, even if they may be, you know, locker room humor, right? Even though the Republicans are literally pushing the narrative that Kamala is crazy because she laughs. Why?
JD Vance went to a donut shop and the person that worked there didn't want to be seen on camera with him.
I mean, would you want to be seen on camera with a guy who is known for fucking his couch?
No, I don't want to be seen on a camera with a guy who loses with Yawgmoth's bargain in play.
Or a guy who was convicted by a jury of his peers of rape. I mean, just saying. I'm just saying.
Pretty sure JD Vance is a cuck. Like, actually.
It feels
He probably has let Donald fuck his wife.
And also musical instruments.
I don't think Donald would fuck an Indian woman.
I don't think JD even got paid $128,000 for it.
I don't think Donald would fuck an Indian woman. I'm just gonna put that out there. It is very clear that Donald likes them hot, tall, Nordic, and blonde.
Eastern European.
It is also very clear to me that I will be giving The Apprentice a watch because I, you know, like me some Sebastian Stan.
He's a good actor.
And yeah, I'm interested in seeing what this movie is. I'm quite surprised that the Donald Trump team wasn't able to get this movie stopped in time for the election cycle. It's just another example of how they are probably floundering for finances, right? Because that's the other thing. Kamala is fucking running circles around.
We haven't gotten to the 6-month part where Trump can sell his stock in Truth Social.
But we are going to talk before we go on break about the January 6th awards. That's right. A conservative group is planning on holding the J6 award gala in September at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago golf course in honor of those who attacked the Capitol.
Why did they have to shoot that goddamn gorilla?
Bro, the tickets, it's like $1,500 a ticket, I think, with the cheapest tickets being like $450, if I remember correctly, right? So it is a fundraising event. Let's not leave that out. Let's be clear about that.
Question for incel white guys in their 20s and 30s. You rather buy that or a PlayStation 5?
Or would you rather have Trump trading cards, right? Because if you get the Trump trading cards, you can get a piece of the suit he was wearing while he was assassinated.
I heard it was the knockout suit. They called it the knockout suit.
Oh no, that's right, because it's not the suit from when the assassination.
It was the debate suit.
It was the debate suit.
The knockout suit. I don't know who calls it that. I didn't call it that, but people are calling it that.
God, I hate when he fucking does that. I fucking hate when he does that. I don't know who's calling it that.
It's like, you're definitely calling it that, Donald.
I know. I just said it, but I'm not the one who came up with it. But other people are calling it that. I am calling this award gala absolutely fucking distasteful. Bro,
what awards are they even giving?
Can you imagine, just for a second, can you imagine if Kamala hosted a fucking...
You're like British and Nigerian dialect right now.
Can you imagine if Kamala hosted a cookout for fucking the BLM cookout? Bro, an Antifa cookout? Like,
featuring Gunna?
Yo, featuring Young Thug, right? It's disgusting. Everybody, and she wore the tan suit, nigga, their heads would fucking explode.
Their heads already exploded
she-
after Meg the Stallion performed at one of
That's
her
what I'm
rallies.
saying, right? It did that little lazy ass fucking booty pop. They were like, Meg the Stallion twerks at Kamala Harris campaign rally, and I'm like, can you call that a twerk?
I was literally talking to somebody, and they were like,
call
when
that a
did
twerk?
politics become a performance? And I'm like, you had Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan at the RNC. Was like, yeah, but that's an appearance. That's not a performance.
Are you fucking kidding?
Yes,
me,
that's
bro?
a conversation I had.
You listen. You're cooking for the buffet because honestly,
I was like, literally, like,
honestly,
this is
fam,
just ridiculous.
that's what I mean.
I'm like,
when I was talking about earlier the level of revisionist history that Trump supporters are willing to make, and people who won't even call themselves Trump supporters, but will say things like, oh, I just can't support Kamala because I'm not impressed with her and Biden's handling of the economy.
So
Even though the U.S. economy has surpassed most economists' predictions for recovery from COVID. We are in the top of all of the standings as far as economic recovery since COVID has happened. Because let's not forget that was only 4 years ago. It was only 4 years ago, and the United States has blown past everybody's expectations.
I just
under
have to
Joe
give
Biden.
the level of shameless. So, I was sent this. On this day, March 20th, 1854, the Republican Party of the United States of America was founded in a schoolhouse in Ripon, Wisconsin. Purpose: to counter the Democrats' plans to expand slavery. The craziest part is there's still the same people at the voting booths. I'm like, they switched platforms.
That
Because
talking point is so dry.
I know,
bro.
and it was like,
I hate it.
yeah,
so
after
much.
slavery abolished, the Republicans who approved it not. And he was like, they literally switched parties. Look up a history book. He's like, I read about it plenty. And I'm like, I'm not going to explain this to you if you read about it. And I was like, bro, stop. This is not a hill you want to die on. Like,
It is,
this
though.
is dog-whistly
It is,
dog
though.
whistly as fuck. Quote, can't call us racist because we freed the slaves is not a hill you want to die on. Sure, if that's what you want to say, go for it. But that's an ugly ideology to have. Left on red.
That's literally it, though. They are willing to die on this hill. And this is what I'm calling to attention, right? Like, I want to know if there are Trump supporters here who are listening, because, you know, we tend to not toe the line, but we tend to walk the line a little bit, right? Like, obviously, we're not conservative. I'm sure that we would probably fall on the left-leaning spectrum here, but
We would definitely set up lawn chairs as everybody was riding them.
The difference I noticed, though, between the left and the right is the willingness to hold its representatives accountable
Yep.
and the willingness to toe the party line. There is no party line here on the left, right? Like, that's why Democrats had the hardest time actually making careers in politics.
Yeah.
Because there's no towing of the party line. We will get you out of the paint for the most minor shit. Look at how they look at how they turn on the magnificent, what is it?
Al Franken.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Dude, I mean, she's constantly getting hit from the left for not being left enough, right? And Donald may actually skate out of this Arlington Cemetery controversy as under the narrative that it's just played up drama by the left, even though the United States Army and I don't feel, and personally I'm gonna say it, I don't feel like they went hard enough because they refused to name the campaign, even though we all know who did the shit, right? But under their oath of remaining apolitical, they didn't call out Donald Trump in them.
Yes.
But we all know who they were talking about. And it is the first time in fucking, I think, United States history that the United States Army has had to make a statement about a political campaign doing something like this, right? But
also, the military by its apolitical standard, couldn't name a name. And I understand that. And I bet the people at Arlington National Cemetery felt fucking awful that they couldn't. But they had to.
There's the fraud conviction. There's the sexual assault conviction. There is this. There's the making fun of handicapped people. There is
Gold Star families. Making fun of Gold Star families.
Access Hollywood tape. All the numerous...
Where is the line, people?
I mean, but they say the same thing about us. They say the same thing about us and Kamala, right? Like, Tim Walz. Shit, I even saw Wes Moore get called out the other day for a misquote on some of the accolades. I'm
a little mad at Wes Moore right now.
Lots of Marylanders are, especially after the raising.
He cut the art budget by $438,000.
There's also the increase on the fee for raising your vehicle or for your vehicle registration, right? And then I feel like there were some other taxes too. Maryland already has high taxes to begin with, right?
We're a pretty dope state, though.
It's like Jeff was saying, like, yeah, Maryland's expensive to live in, but you get to live in Maryland, right? The trade-off is pretty good unless you live in, like, Cumberland, right?
Because that place is run by the Illuminati.
And on that note, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we still got to talk Zuckerberg. We got to talk anime. We got to talk more movies, Oasis, and all kinds of other news. So please make sure you tune back in.
Servpro is run by the Illuminati. Break!
You take a sound, any sound, record it, and then change its nature by a multiplicity of operations. You record it at different speeds, you play it backwards, you add it to itself over and over again. You adjust filters, echoes, acoustic qualities, you combine segments of magnetically taped. By these means and many others, you can create sounds that no one has ever heard before.
And we back,
Welcome back to the fuck shit, cause I wanna talk about something. Now you are chronically online like I am.
Yeah, more or less. We have to do the show, right?
What is the general, since we're getting into the general election here, right? Like the DNC has concluded, the RNC has concluded. We now are firmly set in our contenders for this bout. Where does your algorithm tend to lean when it comes to the reception and the kind of propaganda that you are getting?
I'm getting a mix of... My YouTube is dumping me a mix of MSNBC and CNN.
Okay.
I never watch the MSNBC stuff because it's all very clickbaity, and I'm like, this is definitely, like, bad. The CNN stuff, I'll usually watch whatever Anderson Cooper is doing, because I like him as a journalist, and he's also very attractive.
Okay. All right. Pause. Major pause.
Well, no, the other thing is like, I think I'm going to age like Anderson Cooper. So it's more of a vanity thing than an attraction thing.
Fair enough. Yeah, because I'm getting a fair mix of both, right? Like, on my side, I'm getting a whole lot of Kamala isn't black, right? She just started to, from, like, foundational...
I'm getting that type of stuff directly sent
from,
to me
like,
from
foundational black...
My algorithm
pages.
isn't feeding me that. Other people are.
I'm getting I'm getting a very wide mixture of stuff. From people who support Kamala to people who think Trump is the way, right? And not your typical evangelical white American voters. I'm talking like foundational black Americans.
However,
who are in
some
support
people
of Trump.
just fucking punt the bag, like Jesse Waters.
Or Dr. Umar, right? Like, who, I'm not sure what side he leans on. Like, I haven't seen anything directly that says Umar is in support of Trump, right? But he's called out people for being in support of Kamala, like Steve Harvey, who had to check him on the fucking ticket price. Like, Steve Harvey was like, my price went way up because Umar said they tried to pay him $10,000 for the Kamala support. And Steve was like, let me tell you something. I don't do nothing for $10,000. Fucking Kai Cenat, I think we talked about this last pod, maybe, but Kai Cenat tried to say that Kamala and Secret Service reached out to him to get on stream after Trump went on Aiden Ross. And I don't know which one of you dumb motherfuckers fell for that shit, but I feel like Kai got a whole lot of fucking audacity trying to act like Kamala was trying to get up on stream with. Listen, just because you... Now, I know Kai... Like, I know... Now, first, hold on. Let me cook real quick. Because I know you coming up in the world, bruv. And you love to see it. I love to see a young black man getting money out here. Especially in a space that is kind of scarce when it comes to young black men, right? You got like Kai Cenat and I Show Speed,
KSI,
and KSI, and you know FD. Shout out to FD, Keith Lee, right? Despite the controversy with the DMV, and we will talk about that.
I'm sorry, I don't like to just see you cut up to your teeth all the time. I'm sorry, that's weird.
Kai tried to say that Kamala wanted to get on stream with him, which to a certain degree is believable, especially after Trump went on Aiden Ross podcast.
And Theo Von.
Right? You know, Trump is really running the streaming, the chronically online circuit.
Trump doing it seems desperate, though.
Kamala going on Kai would have felt like Hillary going on the Breakfast Club. Which is why I'm glad they came out and denied that shit, because...
Hot sauce in my bag.
No. It would have looked too pandery, right? And now we got Mark Zuckerberg coming out and saying that he is apologetic and regrets caving to the White House pressure on content suppression, right? That's the headline that's been running. Mark Zuckerberg regrets caving to White House pressure on censorship.
Now, let's just clarify. This is from the Biden White House.
Referring
to COVID misinformation.
I was gonna get there.
Yes.
Because that's the
Biden
caveat.
White House, COVID misinformation. That's what he's talking about.
That's the caveat that is being left out of the salacious, clickbaity headlines, is we're talking about COVID misinformation. According to Politico, Mark Zuckerberg says he regrets that Meta bowed to Biden administration's pressure to censor content, saying in a letter that the interference was wrong and he plans to push back if it happens again. Meta CEO aired his grievances in a letter on Monday to the House Judiciary Committee in response to the investigation into content moderation on online platforms. Zuckerberg detailed how senior administration officials leaned on the company to censor posts about COVID-19, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration, in quotes, when the social media platform resisted.
How nice of the apartment in DC do you think that Zuckerberg leases is? Because he's there a lot.
Is he in DC? Oh yeah, for the hearings.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're grilling social media right now because shit like
he's rich enough to where he doesn't just get hotel rooms. He definitely leases an apartment.
Fam, it is absolutely reckless to not clarify what exactly the Biden administration was asking you to censor, right? And we can even go down the fucking rabbit hole of the fact that it was COVID-19 information, right? Like, yes, there are people to this day who are still hell on high water, willing to die on the fucking island. That is COVID-19 was an inside job, right? It is the new 9/11, right? Like 9/11, move on over. Fucking lab leak conspiracy theory. You got
It is wild that it was Umbrella Labs. Like, that was wild.
You got RFK and Trump teaming up to
Like, they
take
killed
down
Wesker in Resident Evil 5.
Kamala and Tim Walz because you know RFK love him. I don't know who loved vaccine conspiracy theories more, Jenny McCarthy or RFK.
The answer is Joe Rogan.
Make sure you got your ivermectin, buddy. You think?
I mean, like, my take recently is that Theo Von is the new old Joe Rogan.
I like Theo Von, right? But this recent string of trying to remain apolitical while also hosting a platform for both sides that Theo is doing, which does come out of the Joe Rogan playbook. At least he's doing a little bit more of it than Joe Rogan did originally, and I mean that for real. Like, if you go back and look at old Joe Rogan episodes, he's not really that both sidesy. Joe Rogan really did always lean to the right.
But I mean, like, you and I both used to really like Joe.
And I like Theo Von, dude, but I watched some of the fucking Theo and Trump pod, dude, and it just... that blissful ignorance that Theo uses to allow himself to not really have to confront his guest, and I get it, right? When you have somebody like Donald Trump on your podcast and you feel like this is a come up for you, this is a bag, it takes a certain kind of person to be antagonistic in that kind of moment when you're given that kind of opportunity, right? Like, you gotta be a real ballsy motherfucker to go, okay, but what about the fucking immigrant concentration camps?
Yeah, and I mean,
what about taking credit for...
Theo lets
that's
his
my
guest
point.
guide the conversation.
Which is the same thing that Joe does. Joe was really good at letting people talk and not developing a narrative all on his own.
And like the great thing is, like, even at the end of the Bassem Youssef interview, Theo was like, I don't know if this one's gonna go well, and Bassem was like, no, Theo, you did everything right. You didn't do anything wrong. You just let me talk.
Okay, so I mean, but here's where we are, right? And this is the kind of atmosphere I think is important to pay attention to, especially when we are moving closer to what is the potential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Well, no, it's confirmed now. The debate is confirmed.
I mean, there's nothing to... This isn't Elon buying Twitter. There's nothing to stop Donald from backing out of the debate other than bad PR, and I don't know how much worse his PR can get. Donald is outside of kicking a dog from bad PR, right? It literally, he is the king of spit. And we are in a situation where people keep encouraging this open discussion debate, but I don't think it's genuine. I don't think...
People aren't always arguing in good faith now.
I don't think there is any good faith anymore, right? Like I said, we exist in a position where we are holding Democrats accountable to every standard that we possibly could. Meanwhile, Donald is allowed to keep, and this is I'm sorry if I'm upsetting anybody's feelings, but this is genuinely how I feel. Donald is allowed to continuously bend and lower the bar to any place he sees fit because he is operating in the outsider platform, right? I'm an outsider. I don't really do this. I'm doing this because I believe that I'm the one who can save the country, whereas Kamala is coming from a career professional standard, so we hold her to career professional standards, right? And it's insane to me that we are even in a position where Donald can be in a comfortable position to back out of the debate. We say it's confirmed, but there's nothing holding this man to actually showing up that night. And what do we do when, surprise, surprise, once again, Donald defies convention and doesn't show up to the debate?
Once again, Donald defies convention and doesn't die to that fucking bullet shot. Hi, Ted.
Wow, shout out to Ted. But I mean, I feel like I bring up the Mark Zuckerberg thing because I feel like it is reckless for these kinds of articles, and I'm seeing it all over the place, right? Like,
and that's why you come to this podcast, because we take this media bullshit and put it in context.
Like Brown News, but we're not sponsored.
Yeah. However, like,
we would like to be sponsored by Brown News.
Check out Ground News.
Because they will feed it to you raw and unfiltered, baby.
Pause.
Which apparently the Biden administration didn't want Facebook doing, because at what point do you
it is a public safety concern.
Do you draw the line between satire and propaganda?
Well, I saw a friend of mine, actually no, it was my post. It was like 5 years later I had a post of mine taken down where it was Mickey Mouse in basically place of Hitler. And they took that down. And I'm like, I mean, I guess I don't want to really fight this. 5 years old, I already got my likes. Like,
yeah, I mean, don't go back and look at the old tweets, right? And if one of them gets removed, it's probably a blessing, right? Because you probably said something that you felt like was cringe. Social media is getting to the point now where it is becoming the cringiest echo chamber possible.
Social media is doing people a favor. It's like, I'm just going to delete that song lyric quote for you.
Shout out to all the 90s rap.
Speaking all 2000s emo rock.
Speaking of social media and propaganda, DJ Vlad got into it with the most unlikeliest of people that you would probably suspect, right? I'm sure nobody had this on their 2024 bingo chart, but Marlon Wayans and DJ Vlad got into a Twitter beef over what appears to be a discrepancy about Marlon's interview fee. Now, when we are talking Marlon Wayans and, I guess, entertainment iconography,
he is currently the most relevant Wayans brother.
I mean, the Wayans brothers, right? That's classic. That's goated. That's a goated. So
I always forget
black
the fourth.
sitcom.
It's Sean, Marlon, Damon, and
so it's Keenan Ivory Wayans. Then it's Damon Wayans. Then it's Sean. Then it's Marlon. And I believe, forgive me, I forget the sister's name, but I believe the sister is in there before Sean, right? Or somewhere in between Sean and Marlon. Wayans brothers, Requiem for a Dream, scary movie franchise, white chicks, right? Like, I mean, like, let's go back. Let's double back real quick. Scary movie franchise. Completely, like, redefined and, like, tailored the way spoof movies were made.
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. Do we have a problem? 6? Yes, please.
But, like, for real, though. Scary movie, though.
Don't Be a Menace is a better spoof movie.
Fam, but the impact of Scary Movie, disaster movie, romance movie.
It launched the career of Chris Evans with Not Another Teen Movie.
Did it? I mean, I guess, yeah.
There were, like, a lot of people in Not Another Teen Movie.
I wonder which one came out first, though. Hold on. So Not Another Teen Movie came out in 2001. Scary Movie. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Scary Movie came out in 2000, right? So it is therefore logical to say
that if it wasn't for Marlon Wayans, we would not have Captain America.
It's a 90%.
I actually watched, like, a Vanity Fair, like, actors going through their career.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans talked about Not Another Teen Movie. He's like, at that point, I would have taken any fucking thing.
Well, duh. Yeah, I mean,
so at that point, yes, we can thank the Wayans family for Captain America.
When Marlon says that he wants $40K for the interview from DJ Vlad. What do you think DJ Vlad's response was? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Are you kidding me? He tried to do all kinds of shit. You're the least famous Wayans brother, bro. You're like shining light with
That's
white
hilarious
chicks.
that he actually thinks that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they got all into it. Marlon called him, a culture vulture.
What was the name of the sitcom? I always get it, like, there's Married with Children, My Wife and Kids. Like, I know he had one, or Keenan had one like that.
I don't remember if Keenan had, In Living Color, right? If it wasn't for the Wayans family, we wouldn't have Jim Carrey.
Wait, maybe it was Damon with the sitcom.
Yeah, Damon had My Wife and Kids.
Boom, that's it. Keenan was the one that was like mainly the producer and writer.
Yeah, and for movies like I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, what was Mo Money, the In Living Color series, right? Which, like I said, which brought us like greats like Tommy Davidson,
Jim Carrey,
Jamie Foxx, right?
like In Living Color brought us one of the greatest comedic white actors.
J-Lo, Madonna were both fly girls on the In Living Color series.
Remember that Kanye and Mos Def did Chappelle Show.
The Wayans family should be considered comedy royalty at this point. Despite the outcome of the spoof movie franchises, right? Like they
washed their hands of that after like Scary Movie 3.
Yeah, and from what I remember, they said the script for Scary Movie 3 was like stolen from them through like some contractual loopholes, right? Like they weren't particularly satisfied with it and wanted to make some edits, but then the studio decided to move on with it. It was either Scary Movie 3 or Scary Movie 4. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But after that, definitely after 3, there was like no involvement from the Wayans brothers.
Because I remember 3 or 4 had Shaq in it.
One of them had Kevin Hart in it. I think, was it Scary Movie 4? Scary Movie.
Of course, Anna Faris.
Jeremy Piven.
Oh man, shows that have aged terribly. Entourage.
Yeah. Yo, and it did have Kevin Hart. So Scary Movie 3 had Kevin Hart in it, right? So, was it Scary Movie? Let's see. Let's just Scary Movie 3. Now I want to do Soul Plane.
Yo, when you were watching that TikTok and you were like, and I'd be flying, and I had the Snoop Dogg from Soul Plane, and you like 2 weeks later messaged me and you were like, oh, I get it.
Yo, Slim. Scary Movie 3 came out in 2003. Soul Plane came out in 2004, right? So it's logical then there to conclude that maybe if it wasn't for Scary Movie 3, we would have never got the classic that is Soul Plane. Right? I'm just saying. Or Kevin Hart. Now, depending on who you are, you might regret or celebrate that.
How many Kevin Hart roles would be replaced by Robert Downey Jr.?
Or Cat Williams? I thought you were gonna say Cat Williams.
Robert Downey Jr.
Man, listen. I'm still not over them casting.
Can you imagine
Robert
Downey Jr. had like 2 different IMDb's? One as his blackface character. How many movies would it take for that to be controversial? 3?
Shh. You were laughing way too hard. Way too hard. Oh man. It's wild.
Sorry, the whole idea of Robert Downey Jr.'s career path going down that way is just fucking hilarious.
So he's gonna need to do something because the Avengers has been beaten in the box office by none other than Inside Out 2. That's right, Inside Out 2 beats the Avengers and becomes the 9th highest grossing movie of all time.
Beats which Avengers?
It's gotta be Endgame, right?
No! They would have specified that it would Endgame. It might beat, like, the first Avengers or Age of Ultron?
It says the Avengers, so it's probably
the
first
2012
Avengers
movie.
because then also says The Lion King. 1.66 billion worldwide. Have you seen it yet?
No,
No,
I haven't seen the first one.
Me.
Honestly, I was just thinking, I need to find, where's the Sonic movies?
Those are on Paramount Plus, if I
Because
remember
I have to
correctly.
watch the Sonic movies.
Yeah, have you seen the trailer for the third one with
Third
Keanu
one's
Reeves
out
and
now.
Shadow?
And
Is
it's
it
like,
out
everybody's
already?
like,
Yeah.
one of the big things is they're like, Jim Carrey retires from acting, except when he has the opportunity to play Dr. Robotnik, and then he just jumps and does it.
Yeah, he weirdly is fond of the Dr. Robotnik role. And
Yeah.
he said that. He was like, oh, I love that role. Whenever that franchise needs me, I'm there. And I'm like, that's so wild for
For one of the most regarded comedic actors ever.
of all
He's just
time.
like, the Sonic movies? I'll do it.
Liar, Liar, Me, Myself, and Irene, like, dude, fucking The Mask, I believe, is on Tubi right now. Like, oh, such...
The Grinch?
Yeah. Dude, he said The Grinch was, like, that's probably the movie that broke him, to be honest, because he said, like, getting in character for The Grinch and the Grinch costume was torture. Like, so much so they literally, the rumor is that they had to bring in a CIA torture expert to help him cope with having to get in that makeup every day. Bro, it was like 18 hours of makeup, I think he said. Dude, and then just imagine like sitting in like, it's insane. Like, first of all, that number is insane. To think that it takes that long for them to just put your makeup on.
That guarantees he was sleeping in the chair.
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. What's not ridiculous, or at least in my opinion, is One Piece becoming the king of all shonen. That's right, One Piece has
Shocker!
officially
The one that has 1,100 plus anime episodes and chapters.
1,110. 1,110 chapters of the manga. Will be featured on a Tokyo museum wall showcasing a 140 meter long exhibit.
Let's put that into context for Americans. That's like 5.5 football fields.
It's pretty long. This news sent shockwaves through the online anime atmosphere with floods of fans jumping to social media with its ecstatic reactions. It was
5.5 football fields displaying the entirety of One Piece is crazy. And I guarantee you they're not just like nailing it to plywood.
No. I couldn't find any pictures of the exhibit in the Fandom Wire article that I'm reading from, but there were like little teaser trailers that appeared online August 27th, and from what you can see, it looks like a side-scrolling image of, I guess, how it's planned to be posted on the wall in the exhibit, and it just, I mean, listen, as far
5.5 football fields.
as far as deserving goes, I think Oda is well deserving of his masterpiece being, I mean, it is
Oda
like,
actually was talking about the live action season 2, and he's just like, look guys, we're steady on path. I have been a total pain in the ass to the showrunners and producers, and they fucking hate me, but they are doing it right because they love it, and they don't actually hate me, they just hate what I'm doing. And I was watching a YouTube channel I really like, and he was saying, when it comes to something like making a live-action One Piece, as a showrunner, you're just trying to make the best bad decision.
I mean, we all love Dragon Ball, right? But
There's never been a good live-action remake of Dragon Ball. I don't think it's possible.
over 490 million copies worldwide, I think it is safe to say that One Piece is well beloved, and has definitely earned the right of surpassing pop culture and becoming a part of Japanese history.
Do you know there's one other manga that's been running and still running for the same amount of time, just with drastically less chapters? Hunter x Hunter. By the way, Hunter x Hunter comes back this month.
Which is also set to come back this month.
Togashi, I'm pretty sure, has at least 20 chapters ready to go, meaning we'll have Hunter x Hunter for 4 months straight.
Reading through the article on Fandom Wire, it doesn't look like there's any set date for when the exhibit is set to open, so keep your eyes out for that. But I mean, nonetheless, it's a pretty cool achievement, right? Like, this goes right up there with Kendrick winning a Pulitzer Prize to me.
Like, for an anime, and I mean, like, I'm sure, like, I know the Smithsonian has done, like, pop culture, and they've probably done something like the impact of comics, but, like, I don't think that the American equivalent would be, like, what, an exhibit on Stan Lee? And I don't even think they've done that.
I mean, it is now officially, like, a Japanese epic, right? Like, it is to Japan what, like...
It's been running almost 30 years.
What Wukong is to Dragon Ball, right?
It's like what Doctor Who is to England.
Yeah.
That's a much better. It's like what Doctor Who is to England.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the trending gameplay, but Black Myth Wukong.
Oh yeah.
Like that story. I mean, that is why we have Dragon Ball, right? Like, it is the literal inspiration.
But
for
like a
Dragon
modern
Ball.
epic.
Yeah, but as far as modern epic goes. It is more
Doctor
equivalent to Doctor Who.
Yeah. Yes. Doctor Who, or like, what's the closest American, like, MASH?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe like Star Trek, right?
No, but like One Piece is like
Star Trek. One Piece is more continual, right? Like, it is one continuing story.
It's also something
Star
I
Trek
think
has
where
like
it's
splintered off into
like
different
One Piece is
archetypes.
less niche than Star Trek was.
Maybe, I don't know. You might be saying that though because you're a Trekkie. Because Star Trek's impact.
I'm not a Trekkie.
Or you're not. That's my point. You're not a Trekkie, right? Like, Star Trek's impact though is pretty, like, I guess maybe Star Wars, right? Like, I think Star Wars might be the closest, because when you look into all the different, like, Star Wars, like, books there are in the lore and stuff like that, the Star Wars canon is much more expansive than the movies would have us believe, the same way the manga is much more expansive than even the anime. Right, and because the anime still has a fuck ton of episodes, right?
Over 1,100.
But it feels like at this point that there's like a fuck ton of Star Wars property out there, right?
But the problem is One Piece, all of it's good.
I mean, there's a lot of good story to be told as far as like Star Wars goes.
There's also a lot of bad Star Wars. There's really no bad One Piece. The only part where
I beg to differ.
One Piece definitely gets to the point where it's like this is mid.
The anime is there's definitely some filler episodes in the fucking anime.
It's not filler. It's just stretched.
Okay.
It's
all right.
They take like one chapter and they'll make it 2 or 3
I feel
episodes.
like there's a bit of favoritism. The fucking Attack of the Clone Wars and cartoon, that Cartoon Network.
Oh, that cartoon fucking slaps.
Yeah, like
that cartoon slaps. Like Cool Zach says that is the epitome of Star Wars for him. Is the Clone Wars cartoon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude. And if it was like just that, but it doesn't even have to be just that, because like the movie franchise has been great. I feel like even the newer movies are phenomenal, right? Like they made sure.
Don't talk about the last one. The last one was.
I feel like even that one was good, bro.
It was a
slow burn.
It was watchable for people who are not really into the Star Wars lore, because the people in the Star Wars lore were fucking livid.
But I feel like
Mark Hamill hated that movie.
I don't feel like Mark Hamill didn't hate.
He hates that movie.
Mark Hamill does not hate that movie.
He hates that movie.
Mark Hamill does not hate that movie.
Let's all repeat the mantra, it's only a movie. And if you think you're going to go into the movie and recapture your childhood, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. I thought, look, why mess with the success? We're never going to catch lightning in a bottle again. We had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Let's let the memories suffice. And I said, you know what? My out is that Harrison's never going to do this.
The movie is not that bad. It's not that bad. If you can sit through the ADHD fest that is Deadpool and Wolverine, you
I
can
actually kind of
handle.
struggled with that one a little bit.
You can handle.
Like, there were parts of Deadpool and Wolverine where I was like, I could go to the bathroom right now.
The Last Jedi. No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't nearly as bad as The Eternals. That was a bad movie. Blue Beetle was also pretty insane.
What's the last bad movie that was so bad you enjoyed it?
Movie 43. That movie was... Everybody
Actually,
cans that movie so much, and I thought that movie was absolutely fucking hilarious.
Thinking back on it, probably The Gray Man.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, the Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans movie.
Oh, that one.
Totally forgettable, but...
Yeah, that one...
I couldn't tell you a single name of any character in that movie. But that fireworks fight was cool.
That movie felt real paint by numbers. That's when I was like, oh, Netflix really is using AI to make its movies, bro. And then
the only thing memorable from that is Chris Evans fighting Ryan Gosling in the fountain and the fight in the fireworks pit.
Then I saw the Kevin Hart art thief movie, and then I was really confirmed in my belief.
I saw the one where it was Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, and Gal Gadot, and I was like, oh, that's like formulaic as
that
fuck.
was like Red or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I watched that one too, and that one did feel very paint by numbers. Hollywood is in a weird space right now.
If we want to give a little bit of an update, we know for live action One Piece, Season 2 is going to go up through Drum Island, which is where the crew meets Tony Chopper, the reindeer who ate the human fruit.
You said you watched Batman the Cape Crusader.
I did watch Batman the Cape Crusader. It was very good. It is certainly placed in the noir, like 20s, 30s, 40s, but without it feeling like forced.
So it doesn't feel campy at all? Does it have the same vibe and aesthetic as the original Batman animated series?
It does. It definitely feels more mature, and whoever is animating it is drawing the women thick.
How do you feel about them gender swapping the Penguin?
Yeah. I mean, Harley was the real villain of the season.
So the gender swap didn't bother you at all? It didn't really shift anything for you, or it wasn't jarring?
For me, I'm kind of just like, whatever, Hollywood's woke. I guess I'll just deal with it.
Oh, did you feel like that was woke pandering?
I don't care.
Do you feel
I literally don't care.
Do you feel like it was woke pandering?
I don't care.
Do you feel like it was woke pandering, though? I know you don't care, but when you saw that initially, what was your reaction?
Honestly, it's been a few weeks since I watched it and I forgot the Penguin was a woman. So I guess that should tell you what I think.
It was forgettable.
It was forgettable.
Right? It didn't really make a difference.
It was the Penguin.
So you don't feel like, not to say that it was necessary, but you don't feel like it made the show any worse, though, do you?
No.
Okay.
The show was a very thoroughly enjoyable watch. I'll probably watch it again at some point. It is very well done. It is very noir. It is a great spiritual successor to the animated series.
I do believe it has been greenlit for season 2. As well as X-Men 97, which we know is on the way already.
I'm pretty sure, as the Disney exec said, we will make this show forever.
I started watching the Terminator anime, Terminator Zero. I only watched the first episode. Beautifully animated. very visually striking, and the show is not giving away a lot in the beginning, right? You know, you kind of get some setup, right? But there's also a lot of back and forth time traveling, right? So there's two different stories.
Is this a
being
weekly
told.
release series?
I don't think so. I think all the episodes are out at the moment. It does feel very interesting, right? It was very edge of your seat kind of thriller aspect, so you know, very on point with the whole nature of the Terminator, right?
Well, I mean, you can't really screw up Terminator.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen Terminator Salvation?
That's fair. Is that the one with Christian Bale?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was
Apparently he was a giant asshole filming that one, too.
That was a snooze fest.
I heard the
you're
new Alien
talking about-
movie is really good.
Yeah, that's directed by Fede Alvarez, the dude who did the Evil Dead remake. And I'm super
Isn't
psyched.
Ridley Scott still attached to it somehow?
Yeah, I think executive producers.
Well, I mean, they give EP credits to anybody. Like, I'm pretty sure Stan Lee still gets EP credits for Marvel movies.
I mean, DJ Khaled's son had an executive producer credit, and God did. So, and I think Major Key, or not Major Key, but whatever album that was. Yeah, no, but it was good. Like I said, I'm definitely interested to see how the story develops because they didn't give away a lot in the first episode. Like I said, you saw how the Terminators came to be, the main engineer's relationship with the AI that was Skynet.
Is it a good series to watch for somebody who has never seen anything about Terminator?
Yeah, I think you would be in a good space, right? You wouldn't even have to have seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies to really grasp what's going on here, right? Like,
great, because I've actually never seen them.
Wow, you've never seen the original Terminator or Terminator 2?
Nope.
Damn, that's crazy.
I've seen scenes.
That's
I know he takes
crazy.
the shotgun out of the flower box.
Did you know that it was originally supposed to be O.J. Simpson?
I did. I actually did know that.
I could not see O.J. Simpson in that role at all, fam.
I can now.
Wow, just like...
What, is that in poor taste because he's dead now?
Just like I couldn't see the return of a gaming classic, one we all thought was dead now. That's right. A couple of days ago, it was announced that Backyard Sports will be returning.
Everybody is about to learn what a true GOAT really is. Everybody is like, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Messi, Shohei. No, the real great, the real GOATest of all time. That's right, the real great, the real GOATest of all time. I know what I said. Pablo Sanchez, everybody. Pablo Sanchez.
USA Today, after the wild success of College Football 25, because people were really excited about that new fucking NCAA college football game. It was only a matter of time before beloved sports games from millennial childhoods came back for a cut of that sweet, nostalgic bait cash, right? In an official statement, Playground Productions, the company responsible for Backyard Sports Games, announced that the series would be returning in the incoming months. Now, if you had a computer in the early 2000s, wasn't a whole lot to do other than Doom Eternal. Or not Doom Eternal, but Doom.
Just regular Doom.
Doom, Diablo,
Neopets.
Club Penguin came in later on down the line, Sims, but
AIM.
In the back of all of that, some of our gateways, Pajama Sam, I don't know if you remember Pajama Sam.
Newgrounds.
Backyard Sports, baby.
Before Newgrounds, we had Backyard Sports.
It was backyard baseball, football,
Backyard football had like Drew Bledsoe in it. Patriot Drew Bledsoe? That's how long ago it was. Tom Brady wasn't even playing quarterback. Wow. The fact that we use Tom Brady's career as a measurement of time. Wow. That's wild.
That hit heavy for you. That hit heavy for you, did it? This hit heavy for me, man, because I spent a lot of time playing backyard baseball. Man.
Pablo is that man!
It was definitely, that was like a memory unlocked for me when you sent that to me. I was like, damn, how did I forgot all about that?
Pablo
shit,
Sanchez is straight up like the most OP game character ever.
The Backyard Sports series began in 1997.
Pull up, Google image search, Pablo Sanchez.
It's right there. He's
baseball.
Right there.
No. His backyard baseball player description. They straight up make him sound like a legend.
Bro, I don't know if you saw it in the search just now, but it was like, I was like Pablo Sanchez, and then it was like triple murder. Pablo Sanchez will not be featured in this remake of Backyard Baseball after his triple murder, his triple homicide conviction.
Nobody would buy it then.
The roids got to it. Often considered to be the best all-around athlete and teammate, he is known for his good sportsmanship and his natural leadership abilities. August 18th, I wonder if that makes him a Leo. Typically upbeat, confident, positive, but mostly towards himself. He knows how good he is. Examples which begin him saying his goodbyes to ball while stepping up to the bat, saying goodbye to the ball while stepping up to the bat, before even swinging the bat, and blaming the bat instead of taking responsibility for it when he strikes out. His cockiness goes unnoticed by his teammates, however, due to him speaking Spanish.
Pablo is the GOAT, yo! Baseball, you're a Hall of Famer if you get 3 out of 10 hits. Pablo's mad when he gets one miss, and he blames the bat.
His stats are like mad broken.
He's literally max everything
except for pitching.
He's
a little weak when it comes to
and
pitching.
Then you get Pete the Redhead to pitch.
So
Pete the Redhead was like an amazing pitcher. Or outfielder, I can't remember. But Pete was really good at one of them. And my brother, who's a ginger, of course, loved Pete.
Damn, they even had backyard skateboarding, bro. I don't remember that one, but
no, that's the point where they were milking the franchise.
Hey, listen, backyard sports, and you got to remember, Y2K, the 90s,
baseball
was all
and
about
football were the ones
sports.
That were like everybody.
Oh yeah,
those.
everybody had those though.
Yeah.
Football came out in 2006. Backyard baseball came out in 2005. And it has been since then that we have been deprived of true sportsmanship, baby. But
Pablo
no
Sanchez
longer,
would be the most broken Super Smash Brothers character.
No longer do we have to waste away, ladies and gentlemen. We have seen the day of the return of backyard sports.
The life of Pablo.
Do you think that was actually the Pablo that Kanye was referencing?
Who's the greater one? Pablo Picasso or Pablo Sanchez?
Music news. Martin
Answer
Shkreli.
the question.
Martin Shkreli, Pharma Bro, has been given till, I believe, September 6th, something like that, to hand over the copies of the one-of-a-kind Once Upon a Time in Shaolin album. That's right, the album that Martin purchased in a blind auction that was created by the Wu-Tang Clan members to be a one-of-a-kind piece of art that was then seized from him during a federal raid after he was convicted.
So what was it on? It was on a CD? A CD that can be read by a computer?
It was not on a CD. Martin purchased the album back in what?
So it was on vinyl. Something that can be recorded?
17. It was not on vinyl. So
this is an audio file that can be heard?
7.4
recorded?
$4 million. The 31-track double album was then purchased by the cryptocurrency collective Pleasure DAO for $4.5 million. Or $4.75 million.
So wait, you're telling me a bunch of crypto bros didn't realize that this is an audio file that can be recorded and copied?
Quite a significant loss. Martin has been ordered by the district judge Pamela K. Chin to hand over any copies of the album in all forms that he may have left over.
Wait, you're telling me that the guy that bought a one-of-a-kind audio file used a way to record the audio to keep extra copies in case he sold it for a profit?
September 30th is when the deadline has been set for him to hand over all copies of the one-of-a-kind album. But Martin is obviously being the troll that he has shown himself to be and threatening to release the copies of the album to
the day he gets fucking locked up is the day Anthony Fantano drops a fucking review on the album.
So I'm kind of in the basket of I want him to release the album.
Yeah, me too.
And not because we're gonna champion him as some kind of Robin Hood figure.
No, but fuck the crypto bros.
Right? Yeah. No, I mean he is a crypto bro. But I like the idea of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right?
Also, RZA's, I think, on record is saying, yeah, we wish we didn't do that.
I don't think it was a bad idea. I think it was pretty...
I don't know why Bill Murray didn't enact his clause in the agreement.
I think it was pretty innovative.
Bill Murray is legally allowed to steal that album.
Well, I mean...
That's in the contract.
Is he going to do the Mission Impossible shit necessary to get the files, apparently, off of Martin Shkreli's computer?
Apparently Bill Murray can get himself in a whole bunch of weird places by just being Bill Murray.
Because why wouldn't he? Martin Shkreli has backup files of Once Upon a Time in Shaolin somewhere hidden that he is now being court reprimanded. You mean like
he recorded the audio file, the one-of-a-kind that he bought, and now he can sell for like a profit? He made copies of that? You don't say!
I don't know what Pleasure DAO planned on doing with the album, if they planned on releasing it, themselves and profiting from the streams. But if Martin, let's say that's what they were actually intending to do, right? If Shkreli turns around and then releases it and then makes so that they can't make any money off of it,
let's be honest here. This album is honestly probably trash.
Do you think it's trash? If they were going to make I don't feel like that's fair, because I feel like if the Beatles made a one-of-a-kind album that they only sold one of, you would say, oh, it's probably the most fire jam session of all time, right? But because it's Wu-Tang and we are used to hip-hop being complacent in the participation of capitalism, right? We are assuming that it was probably a lazy venture they did to cash in on some pharma crypto bros.
I mean, let's think about where Wu-Tang comes from.
Which album...
That's not a terrible plan for them.
Which album are you more excited to hear the bootleg copy of? Donda 2 or Once Upon a Time in Shaolin?
I mean, Once Upon a Time in Shaolin. I'm definitely more interested in that. But I guarantee you, it's not 36 Chambers. Not Enter the Wu-Tang.
I mean, who's to say it's not? It's the Wu-Tang. Like, if they were gonna make a one-of-a-kind album, I feel like they are the ones who would put the effort into genuinely making a great album to auction off.
I agree.
I don't...
But also, if I'm to think of some hip-hop legends that are like, let's milk some fucking crypto bros, it would also be Method Man, RZA, and Jizza.
How far do you think Wu-Tang would be willing to go to milk the crypto bros of their finances?
Method Man beat people up with a golf club. On camera!
Do you think they would be willing to telepathically communicate with them? Because a woman in Kentucky says that Kanye West telepathically told her to steal a car.
What?
A woman in Kentucky, named Ricky Smith, 28, on August 30th in Evansville, Kentucky specifically, says she arrived at a store in which she attempted to break into multiple vehicles in a parking lot throughout the store. The man who owns the store said he saw her suspicious behavior and attempted to confront her. When she was able to get into a car, the man attempted to get her out when another woman intervened and was actually able to yank her out of the car before she was able to start it.
This sounds like the first level of Streets of Rage.
All of this because she says Kanye was telepathically communicated with her in an attempt to convince her to steal the car.
Look, the last thing we need is to tell everybody that nitrous gives people telepathy. That's the last thing we need to tell everybody.
Listen, because there is no other further explanation or context given for why Kanye told her to steal this car. So I am left to believe that she has the same exact dentist that Kanye West has and is hooked on the same party gas that Kanye is taking.
So you're saying that everybody who takes nitrous enters a hive mind?
No, what I'm saying is the only way to actually hear Donda 2 is to go huff a bunch of nitrous. And then...
But I also think the idea of, like, huffing nitrous, putting you into a hive mind, and then Kanye West taking over that hive mind is like the most Kanye West thing possible.
It's what he wishes would happen, right? Also, don't huff nitrous.
It'll put holes in your brain.
I really feel like we have to.
Do not huff nitrous. It will put holes in your brain.
Literally, if you haven't seen the Steve-O documentary, please just go watch it. Or Kids, the movie Kids.
Honestly, Requiem for a Dream will make you sober off of a bunch of shit.
Which also features Marlon Wayans in it. Man, listen. We are at a point where people are saying celebrities are telepathically communicating. Now, I know that's not too far out of the realm of parasocial relationship history that we've had, right? Like, you know, we can look at Selena, right?
We can look at January 6th.
We could Taylor Swift, right? And there are people. Chapel.
Neither one of us are wrong.
Chapel Roan, right? Was recently trending for her stance on when she's not on stage, she's off the clock, right? She feels like she shouldn't be obligated to take pictures with fans who catch her in the wild, as the Gen Zers.
Yeah, I mean,
say.
that's something I've heard celebrities talk about a lot. Celebrities are like some of them are cognizant, like, as soon as I walk out the door, I am this person.
Yeah, but as far as Chapel Roan is concerned, when she's not on stage, she's done being Chapel Roan. Right? Where it's like, you know, especially as like far as Kanye is concerned, or Doja Cat, like, right? Like, you know, when they leave the house, they know it's time to put on the mask.
John Cena, same thing. When he was on Club Shay Shay recently, said the same thing. And he said, most people are respectful, like, hey, you know, I love you, you're great, can I take a quick selfie? And he was like, it's a 30-second interaction at most. Not that big of a deal for me, but he's saying, like, he's out with his wife, and his wife at this point understands.
Yeah, so,
and it's like, you know, it's not every day that somebody gets to run into John Cena.
It's a difficult privilege to navigate, right? Because you have to balance the willingness to participate in the kayfabe
and your own mental health.
Which is why Chapel has decided that it is not worth her mental health to continue being this image of availability for everybody when she's not on stage.
Or like Billie Eilish starting to wear like super heavy clothing and things like that.
Because she doesn't want to be sexualized, right? And there is this weird balance that we have to do with these parasocial relationships when it comes to feeling entitled to celebrities.
All right, so here's a question I want to ask you. If one of our listeners was like, yo, that's Doc, at what point do you think it would be weird?
Once
they come up and they talk about an episode.
I think there's a difference between the first person and the 500th person. Right? You know, it's like Michael Jordan's son can't peacefully do cocaine in Paris at the Olympics without people blasting it on Twitter.
And as soon as you sent me that, I was like, it was Marcus, wasn't it? It was Marcus.
See, and you named him, right? That's my point. Like, these celebrities can't have normal lives because in our mind, they're not normal people. They are these, like, fucking...
Well, I mean...
They are these pedestals of talent,
Marcus was
right?
fucked because, like, he's Michael Jordan's kid. He's Michael Jordan's son.
He's not even that talented. He tried to play basketball for a little
good.
bit and was like,
Ronnie
you know
James is better than him.
I like cocaine a lot more than I like basketball.
He likes Scottie Pippen's ex-wife more than he likes basketball.
Yo,
probably more than he likes his
dad. And that's okay. And Chapel Roan still likes her privacy. And that is also okay. I think we do need to reassess our relationship with celebrities. Twitter specifically put us in this weird dichotomy where we could communicate with people we once felt like were out of reach, right? YouTube. Also,
the thing about
the rise
Twitter,
of the
though,
YouTube
for
stream.
a period, like when Twitter was not nearly as big as it is now, like they would respond.
That's my point. Twitter put us in a place where people who were once... Remember, celebrities used to have fan clubs. You used to have to write letters to your celebrities, and there would be, like, you know, spoofs or satire of celebrities getting fan club mail and then completely ignoring it, right?
I mean, Kimmel, however, doubled down on the opposite of it and has the mean tweet segment.
Now, you can tweet at a celebrity, and if the celebrity is B-list enough, they're still running their own...
Or they're Kevin Durant.
They're still running their own Twitter.
Or they're Kevin Durant.
And will actually read your comment. And you can talk to a celebrity, right?
Kevin Durant will roast you.
In real time, right?
He will roast you in real time. It's actually great. Like, whenever KD goes on Twitter and he's just like... You know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna respond to these, like, 12 tweets.
I think
it's always fucking hilarious.
I think it broke the fourth wall, right? Like, because there is, like, alright, we do have a problem with celeb worship here, right? Like, there is a fair amount of idolizing celebrities. When you can actually tweet at Zeus and get a response back, I think that would mess with a lot of people's minds, right? Like, there is a reason why you had to go to the oracles to talk to the gods.
The guy that has @Jesus has like 5 million followers and hardly ever tweets.
When the oracle becomes adding a celebrity on Twitter, it breaks the fourth wall. And now you can see the humanity that is Amanda Bynes.
Or lack thereof.
The humanity that is Amanda Bynes begging Drake to murder her pussy at 12 o'clock in the morning.
Or Brad Pitt's kids saying that they want literally nothing to do with him.
Or the owner of the Twitter platform's kids saying that he's a fucking horrible monster, right? Like, it's weird when you can witness the word vomit of people in real time. So,
or war crimes if you open Twitter.
Or if you're a fan of like streamers and stuff like that, or celebrities who are active on social media, you know, you can chat with them in real time on their lives and things. Like Doja Cat goes live all the time, right? So when you see these people in the wild, you feel like you are granted access to them the same way you are through your parasocial relationship, right? Like that mirror, that wall is no longer there.
Yeah, and that does not mean that they know you.
So
remember that when it comes to parasocial relationships.
So I think it's safe to say we are both in agreement that that there's nothing wrong with the way Chappell Roan is approaching her stance on fan
I don't think her or John Cena is wrong.
Or Taylor Swift, for that matter, right? Who, if I remember correctly, had to kind of dial back on her meet and greets because of the amount of stalker
she's probably
interaction.
At the point where she has to like call ahead if she wants to get coffee to get the place cleared out.
Right, but then there's people on the opposite side like Chris Brown, who I'm sure is also the kind of celebrity who has to call ahead to go shopping at a certain venue, but has the meet and greets that break up relationships, right? Or like just open meet and greets in general where, you know, his fans get to openly interact with him.
Some of those requests were wild though. Like the one where he was like leaning over her back and grabbing her thighs and she was doing the same. Yeah. I'm like, you know, I kind of get why that one broke up a relationship.
But then there's people who have fun with the kayfabe, like Chris Brown and John Cena. Jenna Ortega, as we were talking about earlier, was in some interview earlier talking about how she had to get off of X because the amount of AI generated deep fakes of her.
If we want to go back to the original though,
disconcerting.
Leave Britney alone!
I mean, then there's that too, right? But you know, like I said, Jenna Ortega got off of Twitter specifically because the amount of deep fakes that she would see when she got on was like very damaging to her mental health. Yeah. Right? There are people who feel entitled to make porn about their favorite celebrities, right? So why should Chappell Roan feel like it's safe to interact with these nuts in the wild? I think it's interesting, especially when we have the spectacle that is the current form of celebridom, right? Because we are living in the age of micro fandoms, but the fourth wall is also broken in a way that the parasocial relationships are stronger than what they were when people had to write fan letters.
We're also in a reality where the number one song in the country has the word pedophile in it. So, on that note, let's take a break. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up with something that literally no one had on their 2024 bingo card, and if they did, they are a goddamn liar.
A goddamn liar, because
Liam and Noel Gallagher
have reconciled
to bring Oasis back to the stage.
To the mainstream, baby. That's right.
The champagne supernova in the sky. If you're lucky. If you're lucky.
Oh, man.
I have a feeling like the Oasis reunion is going to be like the rock version of a Lauryn Hill show.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, they do give mad Lauryn Hill vibes, bro. In the sense that you know they're going to show up like 3 hours late. They're probably going to be hammered. The show will still be alright.
You'll hear Champagne Supernova at Wonderwall.
Cause I'm definitely like, what do you think the motivation was here? And I know the obvious answer is the zeros on the check.
They added another zero to the check.
Because it's not like we're getting... Is it just a reunion tour, or is there...
There's no new music with Oasis, are you fucking kidding me?
So
you put those two in an enclosed space?
So there's no new music coming. So it is literally just a cash grab reunion tour. Are you that excited about this?
No. Me personally, no, because there's no way in fuck I could afford the tickets.
If you could afford the tickets in a perfect world, would you be excited?
It depends on what, quote, afford meant.
That's in a
I am
perfect-
not stressing.
What does the qualifier in a perfect world mean to you? Because I literally said, in a perfect world, if you could afford the tickets, would you be excited for this tour?
If I could go see Oasis for $30, yes.
For $30, that's the most you're willing to pay for Oasis.
Pretty much.
You wouldn't pay $280.
$2.80.
$280
Fuck no.
to go see Oasis.
Because I would be going to hear Champagne Supernova and Wonderwall.
That's it. That's all Oasis is worth to you. I find that funny considering how much of a big deal you were saying this is that Oasis is
It's a
getting back
huge
together.
fucking deal.
Because we all want to hear Wonderwall.
Yes! You realize that the, quote, that guy stereotype exists because of 2 songs. It is Wonderwall and Good Riddance.
Wow.
And by that guy, I mean that guy at the party when it's all like lull, who pulls out a guitar.
With the hair, and you know what we mean by the hair.
Yeah.
Right? Because...
And then you could ask him to be like, hey man, could you play like Heart of Gold by Neil Young? And they'll be like, yeah man, today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you.
How many wristbands is he wearing? And
I feel
are they
attacked.
all...
I don't know how to play guitar, so it's more than one.
You got a wallet chain on? I'm just asking. I'm asking the important questions because, you know, yeah, it does seem like...
It is a big deal.
It made waves. It definitely would have been an MTV news break, right?
Like, it is a big deal that you're getting Liam and Noel on stage together.
But we're not getting any new
There is
music.
a market to pay a ridiculous amount of money because Oasis, they're not my favorite band, but they're a lot of people's favorite band.
Do we feel like this is the or would you say the millennial version of Van Halen getting back together?
No. I would say this would be closer to...
I mean, because, like, you know, Van Halen with David Lee Roth was, like, a pretty big deal when they got back together. You say no, you, like, chagrin that pretty, like, quickly here, but I feel like it's still...
I'm trying to think of a more modern example that would make sense. Like...
because you want to connect with the Gen Zers, because they're like, who the fuck is David Lee Roth? But anyway,
Like, I mean, Paramore split in half, and nobody really gives a shit.
Do they? Because, I mean, I feel like they do, because I see Haley trending all the fucking time, bro.
Like, that's just Haley.
It's not just Haley, it's Haley with Paramore, because apparently they're out on tour. She just did, like, a Freddie Mercury tribute.
She's actually opening for Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and she
They're opening for Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Okay. So, people
I've seen Paramore live. They're overrated.
They're still checking...
Overrated.
You're trying to make Paramore...
Overrated.
I feel like you're trying to make Paramore sound like Imagine Dragons, and I won't let you do that. I won't let you do that.
They're a little harder than Imagine Dragons.
That's not fair.
They're not much.
That's not fair to Paramore at all. I'll let you do that to Evanescence. I won't let
She's
you
also
do that.
way less pretty than people think she is.
Wow. How misogynistic of you.
Hey, I'm not saying I'm better looking than Kamala Harris, though.
Are you... Is Trump saying that?
Yes! Yes, he is! He
Are
is
you-
literally saying he's better looking than Kamala Harris.
Are you saying you're better looking than Liam, though?
Liam Gallagher?
Yeah.
Liam Gallagher, yes.
Or Noel?
I mean, both Gallagher brothers.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. You like honed in on the fact that I said Liam because like
I also had to remember
Because,
which
like,
one was
why?
Liam, and I was like, oh shit, Liam's the lead singer.
Yeah.
He's the, like, ugly, handsome one.
So the answer is yes. It's like I am.
I do think I'm more attractive than both members of that are relevant of Oasis.
Do you think Oasis is relevant? Apparently, though.
Like, look. Like, when Sublime with Rome started touring, they were like, great, we have Sublime's bass player and drummer, and this guy.
I mean,
and now people kind of care because you have Bradley's son doing it.
Apparently, Ticketmaster is already crashing because it couldn't handle the ticket sales of the Oasis reunion tour in the UK and Ireland alone. So I don't know if they're coming to the United
Oasis
States
was the biggest band in England in the 90s.
So they are like the Beatles of the millennial generation, I guess?
Yeah, they're like Beatles with sprinkles of Rolling Stone. Like a vanilla donut with chocolate sprinkles.
Liam has said that there are contingency plans for
when they cancel. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody's gonna want to just see if they fight on stage.
Yeah.
That's going to be the inevitable. It's like going to a NASCAR event and hoping for a car crash.
Damn.
You know there's those people. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
And that's just another example of how all of this is
strangely too normal, which is a reminder that none of it should be normal. But what should be normal is buying all your Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, One Piece, board games, card game supplies at TokenMTG.com and using the promo code Ziggy to get 10% off of your order. And give a shout out to our patrons, Enraged Peacock, AC Slater for the third time, because that's a really good one, and Thunder Knight.
Y'all have a good night. We'll be back at you next week with more hot takes.
Deuces.
Look, it's a flood.
It's a flood.
It's flooding!
Get away!
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
Wait, why can't we talk about Black Sabbath?